How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Falcon's Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. This time for this new episode for this series is going to be my review on the 2022 superhero film, and this was the second MCU film to be released in that year after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and that is Thor, Love and Thunder. Directed once again by Taika Waititi, who directed the last movie, as well as being the director of Jojo Rabbit, which both movies I really loved. And in this movie we see Thor, once again played by Chris Hemsworth, in which he's trying to find his inner peace, but he must return into action. And we see him recruiting to join along with him, which consists of Valkyrie, once again played by Tessa Thompson, Crowe, once again played by Taika Waititi, and Jane Foster, once again played by Natalie Portman. But we now see her as the mighty Thor, and we see these characters teaming up together, and they have to stop this new villain, which is Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, in which all he wants to do is that he wants to eliminate all the gods. And so we see Thor and his team going up against Gore the God Butcher and trying to stop his evil plans. So that's pretty much the story of Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. It is by far my favorite of the Thor films, and I just pretty much loved everything about it, because that film went on to be something very different from the first two movies, because the first two films were much serious superhero films, while for Thor Ragnarok it went to be something very different from that, because it turned out to be just an overall just a fun, yet exciting, yet awesome, yet very funny superhero movie. And so when I heard that Taika Waititi was going to be helming this next Thor film, I was generally really excited to see what he was going to do here. And I was really happy to see that some of the cast from the previous movies were coming back for this one. You know, Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Taika Waititi himself, and even Natalie Portman, in which we get to see her as the mighty Thor, which I was really excited to see all of that. And I was even surprised with some of the new additional people who are going to be in this movie, in which in this case you've got Christian Bale, who's one of my favourite actors, and even Russell Crowe as well, whom he's also one of my favourite actors as well. And this film came out on the 8th of July, which I did see this on opening day with a fair amount of people on the screen that I went to. And after watching this whole movie here, unfortunately I wouldn't say this is as good as the last Thor film here, but I wouldn't necessarily say this movie was awful, because I overall had a good solid time here with Thor Love and Thunder here. First off, Chris Hemsworth is once again terrific as Thor, and he's just generally a lot of fun in this movie here. And as for Natalie Portman returning as Jane Foster, aka the mighty Thor in this film, she's terrific in this movie, and the chemistry between the two of them is just generally great in this movie. And as for everyone else in the film, like you've got, of course, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, she's once again really good in this movie, as well as with Taika Waititi as Cork, he's just generally really fun in this movie. And as for some of the new people who are in this film, which you've got Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher, he's great in the film, although for his development to his character in this film just felt less strong, and it kind of made his character being a less memorable villain to the MCU, but he is still great for his performance in this movie. And Russell Crowe is also great in this movie as well as Zeus. And as we've seen in the trailers, the Guardians of the Galaxy themselves, they are back in this movie, and they are really fun in this movie, although they're not in the movie that much, which I found that really disappointing. And when it comes to its jokes in the film, they are generally entertaining, and yeah, they are really corny here, but they are generally funny here. Although there were a few that I felt didn't have enough slate to them whatsoever, and that's one of the few gripes I do have with the film. But the biggest problem I do have with this movie here is its tone, because the tone for this film feels a bit messy here, because there are times where the film tries to be like the last film, where it was just generally trying to be a very funny movie in terms of its comedic jokes. And there are times where it tries to be serious like the first two films, and all that here just didn't even work out that well for me as I was watching this film. And when it comes to its story, I kind of felt the story for this film wasn't that strong here, and I felt the story could have been a bit more better here. Although when it comes to its action scenes, they are generally fun and exciting to watch here, once we get into them after the first few minutes of the film, because the pacing for the film at the first few minutes did feel a bit rough, but it does manage to pick itself up, and it plays out so smoothly once we get into all the action-packed moments in this movie here. And as for like the CGI in this film, there were times where it is a bit noticeable, but still though, there are a few that isn't too bad here as I was watching this film here. It's mostly in terms of like in the action sequences that we see in the film, like when we see a few like monsters or anything else in this film and all that. But overall, in the end, guys, Thor Love and Thunder, I still overall had a good solid time here with this movie. But again, it's just not as good as the last Thor film here. But if you're a massive fan of the character of Thor, or you're a fan of like these movies, or if you're a fan of Chris Hemsworth or director Taika Waititi or anyone else, I can definitely say this would definitely be a good popcorn treat for yourselves here. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Thor Love and Thunder. I'm going to give Thor Love and Thunder 3.5 out of 5. as I mentioned before, I still had a good solid time with this movie here, but I was just a bit disappointed with this movie here, and it could have been a bit more better than I expected. But still, though, it's definitely not my least favorite in the MCU or anything like that here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on Thor Love and Thunder, and let me know what you think of this movie if you have seen this already, or if you just recently checked out this film. Did you have a blast with this, or are you very disappointed with this? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.